Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? Kevin here, coming back at you with another video. Okay, this is the carburetor right here from the Kawasaki Kv75. Okay, regular basic carburetor, nothing dramatic. And then this right here is the carburetor from a pw50 Yamaha. Okay, so it's got the same mount on it. Right here, clamp style. And I've been asked this a few times already. Will this carburetor work on a Kv75? The answer is yes and no. Okay? Why do I say yes and no? If you put this carburetor on a Kv75, you're going to lose power. And let me explain. Okay? If you look inside the intake, this is the part right here that bolts onto the intake, the clamp. Okay? See how open the hole is on the inside there? Alright, this carburetor right here is a 75cc carb. This one right here is for a 50cc. See how it's closed up? It's an air restriction. Alright, this will run your bike, but you're going to be losing power. Now, there's a catch-22 for you. Losing power. Now, the Kv75 has a very small jet, and so doesn't this one. Okay, they both take the same jetting. Believe it or not, they're the same sizes. I measured. Okay. There's a couple of benefits to each one, and I gotta take that off. Right back. Okay, I switched them around, so this carburetor was on the side. So the Kv75 carb is on the side, and the one for the pw50 is on this side. Okay. Now, I already robbed the pilot jet for this carburetor out of this one. Basically, it's the same setup. You got your choke tube right here on the KE. It's up there. This carburetor here is made by Walbro. This one's Mikuni or Mick. Okay. Similar on the bowls. It's got the drain tube right here. A lot of people, Kevin, what's that tube for? That tube right there is when your fuel level gets above the if the fuel float seat, needle and seat fail, it, instead of flooding out your engine, the fuel goes up, goes into there, and comes leaking out the bottom through one of the tubes. Okay, same with this one right here, it comes out through there. Okay, so the tube right here, you can see where it is, and then it's right there, and it comes out through the front there. And then this one right here, this line, when you push on this button right here, it releases the fuel that's in the bowl out, so you can drain the fuel. Carburetor. So right there, you can see the float, the little valve on the bottom. Right there. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, nothing crazy. This one right here just has a plug. There's supposed to be a plug there, but I robbed that for another carburetor. All right. So you guys are probably like, okay, what's the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video is to show you guys if you put this carburetor on that, as I was asked, you will create a lane condition. However, a friend of mine has a pw50 and a Kv75 and was saying that the pw50 is faster than the Kv75. Both are two-stroke. Okay, one's Yamaha, one's Kawasaki. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, if it's faster, there's going to be something on the top end. Yes, it is. Exactly that. This is the carburetor intake right here. Carburetor intake right here. This one is smaller, this one is bigger. But this one, you see this tube right here? That's called a power jet. Alright? So what that does is that takes fuel from the carburetor bowl, runs up to here. See how it's only at halfway through? So when your throttle opens up past its point, the air moving through creates a siphon effect and sucks in more fuel. It's basically like a boost. Now, the way this works is the engine's main jet, this one right here, works at over half throttle to full throttle, okay? And you're trying to suck all the fuel you can through that little pilot hole. Well, if you have a power jet, now you're sucking fuel up through here and in through here, which is going to give you more power. It's going to do a couple of other things too. when you're at full throttle on your Kv75, you're leaning out the mixture, okay? So you're getting a lean condition. If you do this for extensive periods of time, what happens is your engine will cook. It'll overheat, all right? So by adding a power valve, you're adding more fuel. The fuel is actually what keeps your bike cool. So the more fuel, that means that the temperature of the burn is cooler, okay? So that's what you want. You don't want the engine to overheat. So by putting a power jet in the system, like I did on my KE102 build, it's going to give you more power, and it's going to let the engine run cooler at full throttle, at wide open throttle. The downside to this, if you use too big of a power jet, you're going to suck the fuel in your bowl down faster than it can be replenished. So, it's kind of an agony of defeat. But I'm cheating, guys. I'm cheating. Because I'm going to take this one out. Need to get pliers and pull it out. Okay. I pulled it out. And I stuffed it in here. I drilled a hole. Put it to where I need to go. And I'm going to have to cut it down. Okay, so now it's in there. It's in too far. So I'm going to take a piece of pipe cutter and I'm going to cut that down. So now you guys are asking, oh my god, Kevin just put a power jet in a Kv75 carburetor. Yes, I did. So what I'm going to do is, see the hole diameter right in there for the intake? I am going to cut that down so it's at half. Okay? I drilled a nice little hole. I'm going to cut it down so it's at half. So I'm not doing that right now. I'm going to do that after. Half. But there's one more modification. Where is this fuel coming from? Here's your carburetor bowl, right here. My two options are this one right here, but you need to be able to push on the button to release that fuel. And then there's this one right here from this tube. Okay? I am going to take out this tube. Okay. So using a pair of pliers, I nicely wiggled it back and forth. As you can see, it's pressed in. Okay? Now, you guys want to know another trick? You can actually use this right here as your power jet. It's the perfect diameter. You could literally take this out and use this as your power jet. Okay. So the orifice hole in the center, if you can see it, is the same. The bottom part of these tubes are the same. Okay. I'm using this one here because it's tapered and it's got a serrated fitting on the end. That's why I'm using the one that came out of the Walbro. But you could legit take the one out of here, drill out the hole, slide this into whatever depth you want, and then you'd be good to go. And then hook the hose up to it. So now you're going to take the hose. I'm going to show you where that's going to go in a second. Oh, here you go. Sorry about that. You can legit take the hose, and I'll show you where that's going to go. So I'm going to put this back in. Like that. And there you go. That's how it's going to look. So, we took out the tube inside. This is the overflow tube, okay? Keep in mind, there is a bad side to this. If you take this tube out and your needle and seat fail, you're going to have fuel coming out the front of your carburetor, as opposed to at the bottom. The way this works, okay, this is going to do two things for you, okay? First step, there's not going to be fuel in this all the time. It's going to be fuel up to right about here. If you put this like this, I'll show you, up against your carburetor, you'll be able to see where your fuel level is in your carburetor, which is nice if you're adjusting your flow. So if your fuel level is past your 4mm mark from here, okay, if it's past that, then you know you have a needle and seat leak. So if you're looking at this tube and the fuel level's up to here, you know that your engine's flooding and that your needle and seat has failed. And if it's down here with the engine idling, you know that your fuel level is perfect and your float's adjusted properly. Now, the way this works, fuel only goes into here when the throttle passes halfway, or when it passes the tip of that. Okay, so when this is into the engine and fuel in the slide that's in the carburetor goes up past it, that's when this thing starts sucking in the extra fuel, not before. Okay? So it's fully adjustable. You can adjust how high you want it. Now, Kevin, how do you fix it so it doesn't move? Here's what I use. I use a dab of Loctite, and that'll hold it right into the carburetor. It'll seal all the way around it, and you'll be good to go. That is how you do a power jet on a Kv75 to give yourself more power. So I have to cut this one down to where I want it, which I want it at, I'm going to do this one at about 3/4 throttle. Okay, so when it's in there, it's going to be up probably a little low like that, right about there. Okay, just a hair over a half is where it's going to be sitting. And then I'll put a dab of Loctite on it and I'll lock it in place. I still have plenty of room for the fuel line and clamp, and then I'm good to go. Okay, that is how I do a power jet on a Kv75. Like I said, with this motor right here, this bike, I like having fun with bikes. I enjoy riding them. And this bike is going to perform absolutely the same until you hit that power band. When you hit that power band, this thing is going to scream. And it's not going to be a lean scream like it used to. Okay, this thing's actually going to work nicely. It's going to give you more power on the top end, more speed, engine's going to run cooler, and that's what the purpose of this is for. Okay, now a lean condition means no fuel, more air, or less fuel, more air. We're adding fuel to the fire, so you're going to get more power. Okay, you're going to get more speed on your top end, and you're going to run cooler, which is what you want. You don't want to burn these motors up, guys. They're two-strokes, you know. But this is going to help with cooling, and it's going to help with power. It's going to give you more power. So I figured I'd do a video and show you guys how to do the modification for the factory stock carburetor on that. And the fact that you cannot use, this is my buddy Alan, you cannot use a Walbro carburetor that is designed for a what do you call it there, a pw50. It's not gonna work. I mean, it'll work, but it's not going to give you power. It's basically going to be a restriction, an air restriction. Okay, the floats are not also interchangeable. A lot of stuff is not interchangeable. A lot of stuff is. I grabbed the needle and seat off this one and the adjuster for this carburetor right here. Yeah, where is it? Right here. You can see it's got the brand new adjuster on that one. The brand new idle mixture screw. I also put a new pilot jet in it, and I used the spring, the heavy duty spring. So, anyway, guys, I figured I'd do a short video, show you guys a little bit about the Kv75 carburetor mod. And once again, you pop this out, you can use this tube, it's the perfect size, and then you can put it in as high as far as you want, or down low. Now remember, the further down you go, the faster this thing's going to kick on. The further up you go, the later in the throttle. You don't want to come on too early, you don't want to flood the motor out, and you sure as heck want the engine to be at full speed, or figuratively speaking, a high speed when the power jet kicks on, because you don't want to lose power. So you gotta get this thing cranking for calling for more fuel, and that's gonna do it. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Guys, I really appreciate all the feedback you guys have been given, and I'm really excited to do this little modification for you. Unfortunately, I'm out of Loctite, which I should have gotten before I did the video, but I was not thinking ahead. I just wanted to get get this thing done, and now I got to clean up the bowl. And like I said, you can put that in as far down as you want. Try to drill the hole, same exact diameter, and Loctite will hold the brass to this nicely. It does work out good. So don't make a sloppy hole, make a tight one so it fits in there nicely. And that's all I have for you guys for right now. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Talk to you guys later.